Hello everybody, I'm Vanessa Browning and I run Community Mind Matters in Spalding. I'll tell you a bit about my journey. I have post-traumatic stress disorder that is hard to live with from day to day. It can be very, very hard to live with. Didn't know I had it for many years, didn't have a clue. I thought I was going mad. I just thought I was just, what's going on with me? You know, I'm feeling a bit different. I can't go out. I can't be as comfortable in people's company. I just wanted to be on my own. It's very, very that way. I wanted to be shut away. Bright lights. I think this is probably why I still like the shades, because lights do affect me. You know, noise, a lot of noise affects me. So all these things in my condition actually affect me on a day-to-day basis. I'm well now. I've had treatment. I've had a lot of treatment to get me where I am today. But it's been a long journey because it was a trauma I had 30 odd years ago that I didn't heal from. And I'll be truthful now, am I still healed from that trauma? No, because some traumas I will never, you never heal from traumas, but can I live with this condition? Yes, I can. And I live with it very, very well. You know, unless you wouldn't know. You know, I can blend into a room now, I can talk. You know, before, if somebody said to me 8 years ago, Vanessa, you've got to go and do a talk, I'd be, yeah, no, it's not happening. You know, so for me, it was very, when I first hit that bottom, I used to be a chef. So I used to be a head chef, worked in busy restaurants and stuff, trained with the army. So very, very high that I was up there. Long hours and everything. Had 4 children. Life was very busy. In this, I'd made lots of bad choices in life because of the post-traumatic stress disorder that I didn't know I had. And then I hit bottom and hit it, and I thought, I'm never going to get back up again. And I lost everything. Lost my job. I lost the lovely house that I had. I'd go into a smaller house. I lost me. I lost who I was, and I just thought, what am I going to do? But I didn't have the strength to do anything. So I couldn't go and ask for help because I didn't know what was wrong with me. And the doctors, even going back 10 years ago, really weren't up with all this mental health like they are now. We're really getting there. So I thought, right, what can I do? Well, nothing. I'm just going to sit in my house. So that's what I did for 2 years. I sat in my house and just literally existed. I couldn't go to work. My relationship with my children was very, very hard. My son at the time was only 10. I thought he's going to get taken away from me, but I wasn't actually punishing him. He never was neglected. It was me. I was neglecting me. I wasn't the one getting out of bed. I wasn't the one that was getting washed and all those things that you do to function. I couldn't function. I just wanted to be away from the world. I didn't want the world to see me. And I didn't want to do anything to myself, like harm myself. I didn't want to do that either. I just wanted to be on my own. But then I was doing a rented accommodation. I thought to myself, what am I going to do if they sell this house? Because your mind's thinking all the time for the next trauma, the next. And they did. They put a sign right outside my house saying it was for sale. Hadn't told me. So that day, I walked out of my house in my pyjamas and walked into the council office and I went, I'm going to be homeless. And they went, Vanessa, you need help. We need to phone the hospital. We need to get you help. So they did. And do you know what? That was my changing point because I then started to get support because before I was just forgotten in my home. So the hospital came and saw me and said, you might have to go in. I said, I'm not leaving my boys. I'm not leaving my children. I can't go into hospital. So in the end, they said, all right, we'll do the care at home. Had a care, nurses and everything came in, made sure I was all right. I was fine as long as I was in my house. It was getting me out the house that there was their problem because they wanted me to get back to doing groups. They wanted me to interact with people. I didn't want to do that. So I refused. It was hard. I didn't want to. I'd given up. First of all, they diagnosed me with bipolar. I knew I didn't have that. And then a year and a half later, I was discharged from the hospital because they couldn't do anything more for me. Then I had to go and see a proper specialist about what I had, and they went, you've got post-traumatic stress disorder plus clinical depression. I went, I knew that. So I was getting the wrong treatment. So then again, so I wasn't getting the right treatment. But you know what, as soon as I was diagnosed, I healed. A little bit healed me. I was like, I know what's wrong with me. I researched, I worked hard, and I thought, right, now what can I do? I've got to move forward. So I did. And the way I did it was by doing this. It's the only way. I thought, but I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to do it. I knew I wanted to help other people like myself that didn't get out. And I thought, how am I going to do this? I don't know anybody. I don't want to meet anybody. So a young counsellor knocked on my door and was talking about stuff, a real good friend of mine. And he was talking about sort of like, about being a new counsellor, blah, blah, blah. And I said, what about mental health? That is the day my life changed. Between me and him, I always say he's my guardian angel, because I could have been 5 minutes late or just not answered the door. I wouldn't be stood here today. It was just like that door opened for me. And then we just worked on this, Community Mind Matters. We got it going. And I'm so proud of this, because I started with 1 group a month. I've now got 6 groups a week, if not more. I'm always thinking of new groups. So I help people with all sorts of conditions. I've got a mental health bench in Ascafie that people can sit on. I work closely with the police. So anybody in the community, if they have people, I'm doing really, really well, but I still have my condition. That I still have to worry about, because I can't just wake up, I have triggers and stuff like that, but I have a toolbox now. I've worked extremely hard to move forward, because I can't live in that place. I can't live there because it's not nice. But sometimes, it's like with a trigger. I'm going to explain some triggers to you now. Next month is a very triggery month for me. Some really bad stuff happened that month. So dates and everything like that can remind me, and I can then relive what's happened. I don't do that so much. I remember it, but I don't relive it, because I have those tools. Meditation helped me, mindfulness helped me, being kind to myself helped me. So I've got those tools now, but it's still not very nice. For me, going out into the world when I was first diagnosed was the scariest place, because I'd be shaking. I would be wanting to run home because I want to go back to my safe place. And I see people, I recognise that now. So when I see people acting a bit, I'm like, I hope they're okay. And I go and see, I go, are you okay? People on the train, there was a lady on the train a couple of weeks ago, I could see she wasn't right. So I did a kindness and I went, are you okay? She went, I'm a bit anxious. I sat with her. And this is the thing, it's recognising that person struggling. Nobody recognised for me. Nobody recognised. My son, my 10-year-old son, recognised. Because when I did go out, he was my eyes, my ears, my everything. He would say, right, Mum, we need to go into this shop. Oh, it's too busy. Mum, you'll be okay. Come on, come in. And I would freak out. But slowly it started getting, but I still don't like crowds. I'm going to a Robbie Williams concert. How am I going to cope with that? But I will cope, because I've got those tools now. I know I'm safe. I know I'm okay. Because another thing with post-traumatic stress disorder as well, I've always got, usually I've got to be looking at that door, but I can be next to it now, where before I'd be like, where's the door? And I'd really get scared about it. A bit like the soldiers, they go through similar, I work with a lot of, with soldiers as well, that have the same condition as me. And even though we've all been through different things, they can, the symptoms are very much the same, it's like, I can be walking with somebody who's got the same condition. We hear that noise, we both turn, and my ears are so sensitive. It's, if you don't know what's happening to you, it's very, very hard to live with, scary to live with. But as I say, I've moved so much more forward now, and helping other people with my mental health stuff. We do a lot of, so we do podcasts. So this is what we are, Community Mind Chatters. So we do podcasts. We just want to educate people. You don't have to have mental health to watch our podcast, because to be honest with you, to educate us, all of us, about mental health a little bit more helps everybody to then go, oh, I read about that, or I've listened about that, that person might have that. And it's being kind to people, because I didn't choose this. I really didn't, you know, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody. But as I say, some days I get up and I have to work a bit harder. And I think to myself, right, what can I focus on today? How am I feeling? And I think with having depression with it as well, it doesn't always go, you know. But for me, living with this condition, yes, it can get better, but yes, it is hard. And it's not visible. You know, we don't come with a sort of label, I have this, you know, I don't come with a label. And I don't like labels. I don't like labeling people, you have that. I'm very open about my mental health. And that's where I want to be, because I think the more open we are with how we feel. And it's like, I can remember once going into a charity shop, and my daughter had come round to my house, and she goes, this is in the early stages before, you know, before I see my therapist. Mum, let's go shopping. No, I don't want to go. Mum, come on, let's go shopping. No, I don't want to go. I'm not going. It took me about 2 or 3 hours to even get out the door. When we did, you wouldn't know there was anything wrong with me until I started acting strange in a shop. I'd go into a shop and there was somebody stood behind me. I still don't like people behind me. It's just a part of the condition and a part of the trauma that I've been through. And I was like, I have to stand like that. So if somebody's sort of like behind me, I have to know, I can see what they're doing. So I was in this charity shop and I was telling the lady about mental health, and she goes, what, you haven't got mental health? And I'm thinking, oh, my daughter was like, what does mental health look like? And it's true, what does it look like? You know, we all struggle. This is the point, we all struggle. Everybody struggles. And this is the thing, it's about being open with saying, I am struggling, I need help. I couldn't do that. Now, I encourage people, I know when somebody's struggling, I know how to cope with them. You know, we are voluntary. This is not, you know, I do all my time. So I probably do about 40 hours, probably more than that for Community Mind Matters. It's all voluntary because I'm passionate about what I do. I don't want to put a price on it. I would like the hospitals to see what I'm doing so they could fund it that way, but it'd have to be done my way. Because I'm down with what, you know, the non-clinical approach, give people more time, where the hospitals don't give that time. It's like and I understand that because they have so many, they're overwhelmed. So with us, I mean, I have people that probably came to me 4 or 5 years ago that'll just check in now and go, I need a chat. Is that all right? Yeah. It's quick, it's easy. And we've got the evidence. We have had more turnovers with getting people back in work and everything than probably the hospital. The hospital send me people and say, we can't cope with them. Vanessa, can you help us? Of course I can, because I'm sat there. I've been in their shoes. And I think it does make a difference. And for me, if mental health is going to go that way, it has to go with experience. Anybody can, you know, I didn't want to be a counsellor. I do life coaching on the side, but I didn't want to be a counsellor because I didn't agree with some of the things I was reading, because in practice that doesn't actually work. And every person, I don't want to put people, right, I'm going to do that with every single person. Every person I've worked with is completely different. So I just want to work more with them on a personal basis, you know, get to know them, you know. And for me, and especially with the armed forces, I mean, I met a chap probably 3 years ago. Now, he came from the hospital. The hospital phoned me and went, Vanessa, I want to refer this guy in. He's got post-traumatic stress disorder and he's very angry, ex-military, not just ex-military, he was special forces, so he would have been doing some really stuff that we don't want to know about. So when I first met him, I said, I don't need to know what you've done. I want to know about the man today, how are you coping? So we talked and everything like that. And do you know what? I'm no doctor, but I feel things. And I said to myself, do you think you've got autism? And he went, yeah, but nobody's listening to me. We've had a 3-year battle. He's been diagnosed with autism, we've got it. But we had to go to our MP to get him to write to the hospital. You have to go around loads and loads of different ways to actually get what you, but I've got that fight. I will fight for that person. He's now in a better place. I've been, working with him quite a few years now, but he's understood. He said, you never ever judged me. And he said, and you treated me like I should be treated. And that's the key, is to be treated like a human being first. And, a lot of people, and I get these, I feel so sorry for the NHS because they're so overwhelmed with what they have to, they can't give that personal touch. They've probably got people working there that probably don't even like some of the things they read and think, oh, I don't want to do that, but they have to because it's a job. This isn't my job. I don't come with red tape. We will become a charity at some point. I'm not too bothered if I do or don't, because I'm still going to do the work with or without the money. It's not about money. It's about recovery. It's about, I'm passing a message on to everybody else that you can live with a mental health condition and still function. And I can, but you just said 10 years ago, could I? I never would have thought I would be doing anything like this. I just would have gone, nah, I can't do that. But I can. I think with everybody, we're all possible, we can all do it. We just have to it's the mindset, and it's just being comfortable in yourself. I'm comfortable with the person I am. And I don't need to be judged, and I don't judge people. I just treat them on the same level as what I am. I don't know what I am for time. I think, have I gone over? No, I've got 10 minutes. I'm going to do a bit more talking, then if anybody's got any questions, then just ask me any questions. So for me, with the groups that I do, so we do small groups. So we do very small groups of people. I do have people in these groups that have post-traumatic stress disorder as well. And it's a nice thing to be able to, they can talk about it. So those 2 hours they have with me in a group environment, it's probably 6 people, they can be themselves. It stays in the room, nothing goes out of the room, and they can literally talk about how they're feeling, and get some tips from other people, of how to live your day. Because some days, honestly, one tip I have got, make your bed. Make your bed, because if I make my bed, I'm never getting back in it because it's too nice and but that used to be for me, I'll go down, make myself a cup of tea, then get back into bed again. And that was quite hard to break. That was very hard to break because my bed was my safe place. I did everything from there, my reading, all my research, and sleep, because I slept a lot. When I had post-traumatic stress, you sleep, you're worn out. The energy of trying to fight is so overwhelming. But for me, like the meditation, yoga, all these things benefited me and made me feel better about the calmness. I needed to keep that calm inside me, because with post-traumatic stress disorder, I don't know if you've watched some of these army things and everything, when a soldier is having a flashback, it's not and they're reliving whatever's happened to them. And I've heard stories because I work a lot with the army, with a lot of soldiers. So I've heard some of their stories. I don't really like to hear them because I don't want them to relive them. But a lot of them will talk about it if they feel they can. But we're not to know that. So it's very hard when we see somebody there struggling and we don't know. A couple of months ago, I was at Ely train station. And I was with my son. My son's 19 now. And we were sat there, and there was this chap walking up and down. And I'd clocked him. My son had clocked him, and he went, Mum, and I went, yeah, just ignore him and just leave him be. He said, do you think he's all right? I said, no, he's not all right. I knew he wasn't all right. He was drunk as well. He was an ex-soldier that was screaming at the top of his voice, this is what I've done. Where's my help? I've been in a war zone. He was struggling. Everybody was staring at him. Nobody was helping him. And I always say, they fought for our country, but we're not, and for me that was sad, really, really sad. I'm not going to approach him, he's drunk, and I can't get myself in any danger because I don't know what he's going to do to me. But when I was on the train, I thought I'm going to go quite far away from him because I'm like a magnet. He found me, and he literally went, you're on guard, you. And I went, oh, because he wanted to go to the toilet. And then he nudged me, so I nudged me, he goes, guess what? And I knew what he was going to say, so I'm going to jump in a prison cell tonight. And I knew that's where he was heading, because he was so angry, because the systems are not always there. Post-traumatic stress disorder is a battle. And if you've never, experienced that battle, nobody can understand what you're going through. I mean, I've got good tools now, so it makes life a lot easier, but some people will never heal. So it's just about, recognising signs, really, of what that person might be going through. But it's not easy for people to even admit there's a problem in the first place. Asking for help is one of the hardest things to do. If I hadn't done what I'd done 8 years ago, I wouldn't have got the help. I would have just stayed and not faced it. I had to face my fears, and I have faced my fears. And I'm happy, and that's the key as well. I'm really happy in my life. I'm happy with what I've achieved and stuff like that. And this is the proudest thing I've ever done, because I just think I'm helping other people now. I've turned it to my pain and my traumas and everything that I've gone through in life is now helping good for good, because I can relate to that person's pain. So for me, I'm okay living with that, but not everybody is. Thank you for listening. And if you've got any questions, please ask. I didn't know how I was going to do. So have we got any questions?
Are they like Facebook links?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, you can find us. It's a closed group, so we are a closed group. We're not open to the public, only because I like to keep people safe. What is on that page is very, very safe. You can put how you feel on there, and nobody's going to judge you for it. So you just send a request, and we'll add you to the page. It's just I just didn't want a public page. I think I don't like that negativity. And people see social media and they see that negative. That can do a lot of damage, that negative word. Even if they're in a good place, it's still very negative for them. So for me, closed groups are so much better.
And are they sort of spalding?
Yeah, we're all spalding. No, we're all spalding at the moment. I do want to branch out. I'd love to branch out, because we're voluntary, and it's only really, it's me that does all the work. I mean, I have a team behind me that does this sort of stuff for me and stuff like that. But the day-to-day running of Community Mind Matters is very much me. And I've got volunteers, but again, I don't want to put any pressure on anybody else, because I'm very aware of everything, So yes, and I'm going to say we do walking groups. We do all sorts, really. We had a couple of months ago for Mental Health Awareness Week, we had our local MP come and do a talk for Mental Health Awareness Week, and it was really, really good. So you can find all this information on YouTube. So it's Community Mind Matters, Community Mind Chatters. We're on YouTube and stuff, and we've had so many different speakers. I've got another chap on there that's talked about his condition. So everybody's speaks about their mental health, and I think that's really, it's nice that people can share about how they feel, because you shouldn't be ashamed of it, and you're not alone. I think this is what I try and make everybody feel, that they're not alone in their mental health journey, because we do feel, I think when you do have a condition, you do feel very much alone, but you're not. Because going to groups and stuff, actually my groups will say that they found the light, because they get that understanding. They're more like a little family actually now. Some of them I've had quite a long time, and it's lovely, because you get to know them. When there's a problem just by their body language. I'm like, that's a problem going on here, and you nip it in the bud straight away and get the help and support they need before it gets too far. I do that to myself as well. I know when to rest. Self-care is so important. We don't do it enough. So if I'm feeling a bit tired, I will cancel that appointment. I'll apologise, but I have to look after me first, because I can't help anybody if I'm not looking after me. So it's really hard to change that mindset, though, because we're always trying to please everybody. I can't upset them. But actually, when you sit there, you're actually upsetting yourself by forcing yourself to do something you're not happy with. Right, thank you, everybody. Thank you.